My sister threw my daughter's birthday cake in the trash because her son didn't like the flavor and demanded that we buy another one that he did like. My name is Vera, and I never thought I would physically drag my own sister out of my house while 25 children watched. But here we are. Look, before you judge me, let me explain what happened at my daughter's 8th birthday party 3 weeks ago. I had been planning this party for months. My daughter had become obsessed with pineapples after watching a cartoon, so she naturally wanted a pineapple-themed party. I went all out. Pineapple balloons, tropical decorations. I even ordered a custom 3-tier pineapple cake from a specialty bakery for $280. Yes, I know it's ridiculous. My husband told me I was overdoing it, but my daughter deserved something special. The party was scheduled for 2 p.m. I invited the whole class, plus the kids from the neighborhood. I rented a bouncy castle, hired a face painter, the whole deal. Everything was perfect. My sister was supposed to arrive at 1:30 to help set up. She has a 6-year-old son who is difficult. That's the polite way of saying he's the most spoiled child I've ever met, but I'm trying not to be completely harsh here. She's a single mother, and I think she overcompensates by giving him everything he wants. 1:30 came and nothing. 2 o'clock came and went with no sister. The kids started arriving, and I was running around alone because my husband isn't exactly party planning material. By 2:15, I had called her 3 times with no answer. She finally showed up at 2:45, 45 minutes late. No apologies, she just walked in with her son trailing behind, looking like someone had canceled Christmas. I should have known something was wrong right then. I was organizing a game when I heard my daughter scream. Not a fun scream, a genuine scream of distress. I ran to the kitchen, and there was my sister holding my beautiful 3-tier pineapple cake over the trash can. "What are you doing?" I shouted. She looked at me with a blank expression. "He doesn't like pineapple, he wants chocolate." I stared at her. "What?" "My son doesn't like pineapple. You should have asked what he wanted. I need money to go buy a chocolate cake right now." Before I could process what was happening, she let go. She just dropped the entire cake into the trash. It hit the bottom with a horrible splat. Icing exploded everywhere, floor, cabinets, even the window. My daughter burst into tears, sobbing inconsolably. Her friends stood frozen, mouths agape. I looked at my sister and felt something inside me break. Not just anger, years of pent-up resentment breaking like a dam giving way. "Get out," I said. My voice was trembling. "Don't be so dramatic," she rolled her eyes. "It's just a cake. Give me $200 and I'll get a proper one." That's when I grabbed her by the arm and started dragging her towards the door. She struggled with me trying to break free, but I didn't care. I was stronger than I thought. Her son followed, wailing at the top of his lungs. I pulled her out onto the front porch, and that's when I let it all out. 31 years of being invisible, of watching her get everything while I got nothing. I told her she was selfish, that she was raising a spoiled brat, that she was a terrible mother. She tried to slap me. I grabbed her wrist and pushed her. She fell onto the lawn, and that's when my parents arrived. Before I get to what my parents said, I need to explain our history, because otherwise you'll think I'm just someone who attacks family over a cake. And while I did attack my family over a cake, there are decades of context here. Growing up, my sister was the golden child. I'm not exaggerating. She literally could do no wrong. I was 3 years older, and from the moment she was born, I basically ceased to exist in my parents' eyes. When I was 12, I saved for 6 months from my allowance to buy a pet rabbit. I did research, set up a habitat. I was very responsible. I named him Peanut, and I loved that rabbit more than anything. 3 months later, my sister decided she wanted to spend more time in my room because it had better light. Turns out she was allergic to rabbit fur. Not deathly allergic, just sniffly. My parents gave my rabbit away while I was at school. They donated it to a family across town. When I came home crying, my mom said I was being selfish and that family comes first. That was the pattern, over and over again. My sister wanted something. My sister got it, no matter what it cost me. When I was 15, I was supposed to have a quinceañera. My mom is Mexican, and it was a huge deal. We had been planning for over a year. My parents had saved $5,000. $2 weeks before the party, my sister threw a tantrum because she wanted to go on a school trip to Europe. The trip cost $4,000. My quinceañera was canceled. They used my party money for her trip and told me we would celebrate small with family. We went to a chain restaurant. They brought out a cupcake with a candle. My sister posted pictures from Paris while I cried in my room. The worst part wasn't the big things, it was being invisible. When I made the honor roll every semester, they'd say, "Good job," and move on. When my sister got a B instead of her usual C, they'd take her out for ice cream and post about how proud they were. When I won a regional science fair, my parents couldn't attend because they had to watch my sister's middle school play, where she was background villager number 3. I got into college with a partial scholarship. I worked my butt off with a part-time job and student loans to cover the rest. My sister barely graduated high school, didn't go to college, moved back home where my parents supported her for years. Did they ever offer to help with my loans? What do you think? When she got pregnant at 22, my parents practically threw a parade. It didn't matter that the guy disappeared. It didn't matter that she had no job or plan. They turned their guest room into a nursery. When I got pregnant 2 years later, married, financially stable, with a career, my mom said, "Oh, that's nice. This will interfere with you babysitting your sister's son." I love my nephew, I really do, but he has been raised with zero boundaries and it shows. Every time I'm around him, it's a nightmare. He destroys things, hits other kids, screams when he doesn't get his way. My sister thinks discipline is cruel. She's creating a miniature version of herself. I've tried talking to my parents. They tell me I'm judgmental, that I need to be understanding, that my sister had a hard road and needs support. What about my hard road? So when I grabbed my sister's arm at that party, it wasn't about a cake. It was about 31 years of being treated like my feelings didn't matter. It was about watching my daughter's face crumble the same way mine had dozens of times. It was about me finally being fed up, completely fed up. So there I was on my front lawn with my sister lying on the grass, her son screaming, and my parents pulling up in the car. Perfect timing. The universe has a twisted sense of humor. My dad jumped out of the car. "What's going on? Why's your sister on the ground?" "Ask her why she threw my daughter's birthday cake in the trash," I said, pointing at my sister. My mom was already helping her up, brushing the grass off her pants, asking if she was okay. My sister immediately started crying. Not a cry of anger, but that pathetic victim cry. She attacked me, dragged me out of the house, and pushed me. "Is this true?" My dad looked at me with that disappointed expression I'd seen a million times growing up. "She destroyed my daughter's birthday cake because her son doesn't like pineapple." "It was just a cake," my mom said. "You really needed to get violent over a cake. Just a cake." Those 3 words made everything click into place. Nothing had changed. Nothing would ever change. "Get off my property," I said. "All of you right now." "We're not going anywhere until you apologize to your sister," my dad said. "Apologize." "She showed up late, threw away $300 of cake, demanded I pay for a replacement. And you want me to apologize?" "You pushed her to the ground," my mom said. "She tried to slap me first. I was defending myself." The party guests were definitely watching from the windows. Now some had come outside. This was a full-blown spectacle and I didn't care anymore. "You've always been jealous of her," my sister said through tears. "Always, you can't stand that people actually love me." I laughed. It came out harsh and bitter. "People love you. You can't hold down a job. You can't keep friends. You're a 33-year-old woman living off our parents because you've never faced a single consequence for anything you've ever done." "That's enough," my dad said, raising his voice. "Your sister is going through a hard time. She's always going through a hard time. That's her entire personality, and you two constantly enable it." "We support our daughters," my mom said. "Both of you, equally." Equally. I felt something snap inside me. "You missed my high school graduation to take her shopping. You missed my college graduation because she had a headache. You've given her thousands of dollars and never offered me a cent. Where's the equality?" My sister was crying louder now. Loudly. "See. She's attacking me again. She's always attacking me." "I'm stating facts," I said. "Facts that all of you refuse to acknowledge because it's easier to pretend everything's fine than to admit you raised a narcissist." My dad stepped forward. "You need to apologize to your sister right now or we're done. You will be choosing to isolate yourself from this family." I looked at my parents, at my sister behind them with her crocodile tears, at the life I'd spent 3 decades trying to fit into, trying to earn the love of people who had never truly seen me. "Then we're done," I said. "Get off my property or I'll call the police." They left. I went back inside where my husband had ordered pizza and had somehow salvaged the party. My daughter had fun in the end, but that night, after everyone had left and she was finally asleep, I sat in my kitchen looking at the bits of cake still stuck to my walls, and I realized my family was never going to change. The only thing I could change was whether I kept letting them hurt me. That's when my phone buzzed with a notification. My sister had posted a video on social media, and suddenly things got so much worse. The video my sister posted showed me dragging her through my house and pushing her onto the lawn, but it started right when I grabbed her. No context, no cake in the trash, no her demanding money, just me looking like an absolute psychopath attacking my innocent sister. The caption: I can't believe my own sister physically assaulted me at her daughter's birthday party. She dragged me out in front of all those children and pushed me. I'm shaking and my son is traumatized. Should I press charges? I never thought family would treat me this way. The comments were already pouring in, hundreds of them. Oh my God, what a psychopath. That's abuse, definitely press charges. Poor kids witnessing violence. Someone should check on that boy. My hands were shaking as I scrolled. It had already been shared. Lots of people I didn't know, commenting on what a terrible person I was. I tried commenting to explain, but she had blocked me. I couldn't let my version interfere with her victim narrative. I texted her. Take that video down, you know that's not what happened. No response. You threw my daughter's cake in the trash and demanded money. You're leaving out the whole story. Nothing. My husband found me at midnight still scrolling. You need to stop looking at that. It's making me look like a monster. Everyone thinks I attacked her for no reason. Everyone who matters knows the truth. But that was the thing. Most of the people at the party were kids. The parents who were there, I didn't have their contact info. There was no way to reach out to them to back me up. By morning, 10,000 views. 10,000 people who thought I was abusive. I spent that morning documenting everything. Photos of the cake remains in my trash, photos of the splatters on my walls, screenshots of messages confirming the party time, footage from the doorbell camera showing her arriving 45 minutes late. I made my own post with all the evidence, explaining what really happened. I kept my daughter's face out of it, but I made sure people understood this wasn't random violence. This was consequences for destroying something special for a little girl. The response was mixed. Some supportive comments, others accused me of making up stories to cover up the abuse. The worst ones said that even if she did throw the cake, that didn't justify the violence, and they weren't entirely wrong. I know I shouldn't have grabbed her, I know, but with my daughter crying and my sister acting so entitled, something snapped. My sister's response was now. She's making up stories to justify her violence. Classic abuser behavior, attack someone and then blame them for making you do it. I honestly fear for her family. The internet ate it up, people taking sides, my husband's friends messaging him. My coworkers saw it, my boss saw it. I was called into an HR meeting about my home situation. Humiliating isn't strong enough to describe it. 3 days of incessant comments, shares, arguments between strangers. I had posted the doorbell footage of her arriving late. She had posted screenshots of old texts claiming they showed my pattern of hostility. The texts were things like, "Can you give me more notice for babysitting?" And "I can't loan you money right now." Apparently boundaries equal hostility. A few parents from the party contacted me privately saying they supported me. One mom commented on my sister's video backing up my story. My sister called her my flying monkey, helping me abuse her. It would have been funny if it weren't destroying my life. Then came the family intervention. A week after the party, someone rang my doorbell. I looked through the peephole and saw my parents. Behind them, my aunt, my uncle, 2 cousins, and my grandmother. 7 people on my porch like an intervention SWAT team. I opened the door. "What's going on?" "We need to talk about your behavior," my dad said. I should have closed the door, but that stupid part of me that spent 31 years seeking approval let them in. They settled into my living room like a tribunal. My grandmother sat in the center, everyone flanking her. My husband was upstairs with our daughter, so I faced this alone. "This has gone too far," my mom began. "The social media posts, the arguments, attacking your sister." "I didn't attack her. She destroyed my daughter's cake and I removed her from my house." "You pushed her," my uncle said. "We saw the video." "She tried to slap me first. She fell when I pushed her away." "It's still violence," my aunt said. "There's no excuse for family violence." I looked around. "Did anyone ask her about the cake, about why I was upset?" "She said it was just a cake," my mom said. "Even if it wasn't, your reaction was disproportionate. You need to apologize publicly, retract your posts, admit you overreacted, ask for forgiveness." I laughed. I actually laughed. "You want me to apologize for being upset that she destroyed something special for my daughter?" "You're acting like the victim," my dad said. "But you got physical. You keep escalating online. Your sister is afraid of you." My sister is a manipulative liar who has been the golden child her entire life and can't stand someone finally confronting her. Silence. My grandmother cleared her throat. That is enough. I did not raise you to be cruel. Your sister has had a hard life. I didn't stand up. Her life hasn't been hard. She's never faced consequences because all of you constantly enable her. Do you know why she's a single mother? She got pregnant thinking it would make a guy stay. Do you know why she can't keep a job? She creates drama everywhere until she gets fired. Do you know why her son misbehaves? She doesn't parent him at all. That's a horrible thing to say about your nephew, my mom gasped. It's true and you all know it, but you keep rescuing her and making excuses while I've had to work for everything. My cousin, when I had been close to, spoke up. Well, she's not entirely wrong. Everyone stared at her. She shrugged. Come on, we all know Aunt and Uncle have always spoiled her. We've talked about it. That is not the point, my dad said quickly. When was the last time you came to my daughter's school events? I interrupted. Or asked about my job, or congratulated me on anything. But when my sister needs money for rent for the 4th time this year, you all pool together. Where was the family solidarity when I worked full-time through college? You didn't need help, my mom said. You've always been so capable. Because I had to be, otherwise I would have ended up like her, useless and dependent. My aunt stood up. Clearly she is not ready for a rational conversation. Wait, said another cousin. I want to hear this. Why does she get away with everything? My grandmother sighed. Because she's not strong like you, Vera. She needs more support. There it was, finally said out loud. They didn't give me support because I was strong enough not to need it. Get out, I said, my voice low. All of you. They left, arguing among themselves. My husband found me afterwards shaking on the couch, but something had changed. For the first time, cracks had appeared in the family's unified front. After the intervention disaster, I did something probably petty. I started researching my sister's past. Not stalking, just contacting people I knew she'd had conflicts with, asking what had happened. I found a pattern, a very clear pattern of her starting problems, playing the victim, and walking away while everything burned. Her ex-roommate from 5 years ago replied to my message in under an hour. Paragraphs about how my sister moved in needing a month or two. She stayed 8 months without paying rent, ate her food, used her car without asking. When she confronted her, my sister posted online about how someone she thought was her friend made her homeless. The roommate lost mutual friends before the truth came out. Her best friend from high school told similar stories. My sister borrowed her car, got in an accident, claimed the friend forced her to drive in unsafe conditions. Her whole friend group sided with my sister for months until someone found out she had taken the car without permission. I contacted 3 former coworkers. All said the same thing. My sister would start jobs enthusiastic, then gradually create drama. Accused coworkers of harassment. Claimed managers were unfair. Said she was discriminated against for being a single mother. At one job, she filed harassment complaints about an employee who had asked her to actually work. She got fired and posted rants about toxic work culture, most damning her son's old daycare. I ran into the director at the supermarket. She hesitated. Then she let it all out. They had kicked my sister out, not her son. She would stay for hours after drop-off, treating it like a parking space. When asked to leave, she claimed they were separating her from her son, affecting her mental health. She started showing up at other kids' birthday parties uninvited. When she was banned, she posted scathing reviews about hostility towards single mothers. I compiled everything. Screenshots, emails, statements. I organized it into a document longer than my college thesis. What are you going to do with this? My husband asked, finding me typing at 11 p.m. I don't know, but I'm tired of being the only one who sees who she really is. Honey, I'm worried you're obsessing. He wasn't wrong, but I felt like I was finally seeing clearly after a lifetime of asking myself if I was the problem. Too sensitive, too harsh, too judgmental. Now I had proof. She had left a trail of burned bridges and hurt people, and each time she escaped accountability by playing the victim. I sent the document to the extended family. Subject, the pattern, mixed responses. Some didn't reply, a few said they didn't want to get involved, but several sent thoughtful replies. My cousin from the intervention, I always knew something was off, this makes sense. An aunt I barely knew. Your uncle and I loaned her over $2,000, never paid back a cent. Your parents made us feel cheap for mentioning it. Most surprisingly, my grandmother called. I read your document, why didn't you tell us before? Would you have believed me? Long pause. Probably not. Your sister has always been good at explaining things to seem innocent. That's called lying, Grandma. Another pause. I need to think, but I see. I'm sorry we made you feel invisible. That wasn't fair. It wasn't the full acknowledgement I wanted, but it was more than I'd ever gotten. That night I posted, I've learned about family patterns this week, about how dysfunction perpetuates because people prefer the status quo to facing uncomfortable truths. I'm sick of being comfortable, sick of being silent, sick of apologizing for having boundaries. My sister's response came fast. And I'm sick of being abused by someone who's supposed to love me. The comments became a battlefield, but this time something different happened. People who knew her started commenting with their own stories, nothing detailed. Vague references to similar experiences, and I've seen this pattern. The tide was turning, slowly, painfully, but turning. Then, karma caught up to my sister through her own son's behavior. 2 weeks after my daughter's disastrous party, karma hit my sister through her son. And look, I feel guilty saying that because he's just a child and none of this is his fault. But what happened was both vindicating and terrifying. My nephew attends a private school. My parents pay because the public school wasn't good enough. They had a spring fair with games and food trucks. I found out from a friend whose son is in his grade. According to multiple witnesses and eventually the local news, because yes, it made the news, my nephew completely lost it. Some ring toss game where you win prizes. He didn't win. The prize he wanted was a stuffed animal, and when he didn't get it, he started screaming. Not crying, screaming at the top of his lungs, face red, veins popping, shrieking. My sister demanded the volunteer running the game just give him the prize because he's having a hard day. When the volunteer said no, that's not how games work, my nephew grabbed the prize and ran. The volunteer followed to get it back. My sister got in his face screaming about discrimination against single mothers and children from difficult backgrounds. His background is being spoiled. But of course, other kids saw him take the prize and started chanting, "Cheater, cheater." My nephew responded by picking up a plastic baseball bat from the play area and hitting a child, hard enough that the kid needed an ice pack and parents were called. When a teacher tried to take the bat away, my nephew bit her. He bit her hand hard enough to break the skin. School security got involved. They took him to the principal's office while my sister followed, screaming about lawsuits and discrimination. The whole thing was captured on multiple phones. By that evening, it was all over local social media. My friend sent me a link. "Isn't this your nephew?" I watched it 3 times. Worse than I imagined, you could see his face red and contorted with rage, completely out of control. My sister not calming him, but defending his behavior, blaming everyone else. You could hear her scream, "He has special needs, you're all ableist." For the record, he does not have special needs. He's never been diagnosed. He's just never been taught that actions have consequences. The video got hundreds of comments. People horrified. General consensus. The child needs help. The mother is failing him. Several people who had seen my sister's posts about me pointed out the irony. Here she was calling me abusive, while her son was literally hitting other children. The school called an emergency meeting. Suspension for a week, psychological evaluation required before returning. Banned permanently from school events unless directly supervised. My sister exploded. She posted a long rant about her son being targeted, trying to label him as problematic to justify ableist policies, considering legal action. She created a fundraiser for legal fees to fight educational discrimination. The fundraiser raised $83. Her previous, "I was assaulted," fundraiser had raised almost $2,000. The tide was definitely turning. My parents called me for the first time since the intervention. "Did you see what happened to your nephew?" "I saw. He's going through a hard time. Your sister needs support, not judgment." "Mom, he attacked another child and bit a teacher. Those aren't hard times. Those are serious behavioral issues that need professional help." "Well, if you hadn't traumatized him by attacking his mother." "I'm hanging up now." And I did. I actually hung up on my mother, terrifying and liberating. That night I got a message from an unknown number, the teacher my nephew bit. She had found my social media somehow. "I saw your posts about your sister. I wanted you to know that I believe you. I've been teaching for 15 years and I've dealt with difficult parents. But your sister is something else. Her son desperately needs help and she refuses to see it. You are not crazy. You are not abusive. You are the only one in that family who sees reality clearly." I stared at that message for a long time. Validation from a stranger shouldn't have meant so much, but it did. It really did. and things were about to get so much worse. 3 days after the school incident, things escalated. It was 2:17 in the morning. I know the exact time because I checked my phone when someone started pounding on my door. Not knocking, pounding like they were trying to break it down. My husband bolted up. "What the hell?" I grabbed my phone and opened the doorbell camera. My sister on our porch, clearly drunk, staggering with messy hair, smeared mascara, pounding the door with both fists, screaming something I couldn't understand. "It's my sister, she's drunk." "I'm calling the police," my husband said, reaching for his phone. "Wait," some stupid ingrained sense that you don't call the police on family. I activated the two-way audio. "What do you want?" Her face loomed close to the camera, distorted and wild-eyed. "I want to talk like adults, let me in." "You're drunk." "Go home." "I'm not drunk, I had 2 drinks, stop making me look crazy." She was definitely slurring, her eyes were unfocused, her movements exaggerated. Whether it was 2 drinks or 10, she was in no state for a productive conversation. "Go home or I'll call the police." Call them so they can see how you abuse me. How have you turned everyone against me?" She kicked the door, actually kicked it hard enough to hear something crack. My husband was already talking to emergency services. I switched the camera to record. My sister lost all control, screaming about how I'd ruined her life, poisoned the family against her, that I was terrible and had always been jealous. She kicked the door 2 more times, leaving scuff marks and cracks. Then she noticed the camera, got right up close, and screamed into the lens. "You think you're so perfect. You're not. You're a bitch and everyone knows it. Your daughter's going to grow up hating you." That one hurt. It really hurt. My daughter appeared in our doorway. "Mommy, what's that noise?" "It's nothing, sweetie, go back to bed." "Is it Auntie?" I hesitated. "Yes, but she's leaving now, go back to your room." My husband guided her away as I watched the camera. My sister had moved to our window trying to peer in. When that didn't work, she picked up a decorative rock from the garden. For one horrible second, I thought she'd throw it through the window. She just held it, swaying. The police arrived 7 minutes after the call. I watched through the camera as they pulled up with lights flashing. My sister immediately dropped the rock and started crying. Not a cry of anger, a hurt victim cry. "Thank God you're here. My sister locked me out and I just wanted to talk. I think she's having a mental health crisis. I'm worried about my niece." I couldn't believe it. I opened the door and stepped out. 2 officers were with my sister. "Are you the homeowner?" the male officer asked. "Yes, she's my sister." She showed up drunk at 2 a.m., attacking my door. "I'm not drunk. I had 2 glasses of wine hours ago. She's lying because she hates me." "Ma'am, have you been drinking?" the female officer asked. "I told you just 2 glasses. I need you to take a breathalyzer." My sister's face went through anger, panic, calculation. "I don't have to. I'm not driving." "You're on someone else's property at 2 a.m., damaging their door after they called about your behavior. Take the test voluntarily or we take you in for public intoxication and trespassing." She looked at me with pure hatred. "This is what you wanted, to humiliate me." "I wanted to sleep without being terrorized," I said. She failed. Blood alcohol level, 0.13, way over the legal limit for driving. The officers arrested her for public intoxication, trespassing, and vandalism. They asked if I wanted to press additional charges. I said yes to everything. As they put her in the car, she was screaming about false arrest and brutality. The female officer gave me her card. "You should get a restraining order. This isn't normal sibling conflict. This is harassment that's escalating." After they left, my husband and I stood looking at the damaged door. Scuff marks, cracks in the wood. The doorbell camera had caught it all. "We're getting that restraining order," he said. It wasn't a question. "Yes, we are." My mother bylaid my sister out at 6 a.m. I found out she paid the bail and took her to her house where she was recovering from the trauma of being arrested. The trauma she brought on herself, but facts have never been my family's strong suit. I filed for the restraining order. I submitted video evidence, neighbor statements. The court date was set for 2 weeks away. I tried to just live my life, work, care for my daughter, pretend everything was normal. It worked for exactly 4 days. I was at my office, medical billing, exciting stuff. When the receptionist called, "Vera, your parents are here, they say they'll wait." My stomach turned. Of course they'd come to my workplace. Nothing was sacred. I should have stayed at my cubicle. I should have called security. Instead, I went out. My parents were there with identical expressions of disappointment and determination. "We need to talk," my father said. "Not here, this is my place of work." "Then you should have answered our calls," my mother said. I had blocked their numbers 2 days prior. I didn't mention that. "Let's go outside." The parking lot, 92 degrees and humid. Late spring in Missouri is basically a swamp. I was sweating through my blouse immediately. My parents didn't notice the heat, too focused on their mission. "You need to drop this restraining order," my dad began. "It's nonsense. She showed up drunk at 2 a.m. and damaged my property. She was upset. She made a mistake. That's what family does, forgive mistakes. A mistake is forgetting a birthday. Showing up drunk at 2 a.m. attacking someone's door is assault and vandalism." "You're being dramatic," my mother said, as usual. "Do you know what this is doing to her? She's devastated. She's talking about," she paused, lowered her voice, "hurting herself. The nuclear option, what my sister always threatened when she didn't get her way. I'd heard variations my whole life, basic emotional manipulation. If she's genuinely suicidal, she needs to be hospitalized and get professional help, not live with you while you enable her." "We're not enabling her," my father snapped. "We're supporting her in difficult times. You've been supporting her in difficult times for 33 years. When does it end?" Coworkers were walking by, definitely listening. This would be all over the office tomorrow. "You're destroying this family," my mother said, tears welling. "We used to be close. Now you're tearing us apart over what? A cake, online arguments. She threw my daughter's birthday cake away and then showed up at 2 a.m. How is this my fault? Because you don't forgive, you hold a grudge. You've always been like this, so rigid, so unforgiving. I wonder why. Maybe growing up invisible while you worshipped her." My father stepped forward. "That's not fair. We've always treated you equally." I laughed, harsh and bitter. "Dad, you missed my high school graduation to take her shopping. You missed my college graduation because she had a headache. You've loaned her tens of thousands and never given me a cent, equally. She needed more help." "No, she demanded more help. There's a difference." Stalemate. A standoff in the parking lot. My mother crying, my father looking like he wanted to hit something. I just felt tired. That's when my mom said it. "We can't afford this. If you go through with the restraining order, your sister needs therapy, maybe a lawyer. We're stretched thin with her rent, tuition, bills." "Wait, you're still paying her rent." They exchanged looks. "She lost her job last month. The school thing made it impossible. We've been helping temporarily." "How much a month?" Another look. "It's none of your business," my mother said. "How much?" "About $3,000, my father admitted. "Rent, bills, groceries, tuition. $3,000 a month for how long?" 8 months, but it's temporary." "It's always temporary, 33 years of temporary." Then I understood the real reason they were here. They can't afford the legal fees and are still supporting her. That's what this is about. They're going broke enabling her and they need me to back down. My father's face told me everything. "We thought you might help contribute," my mother said carefully. "She's really struggling and you have a good job." "Get out of my parking lot." They left. I went to HR. I requested a note barring them from the building. That afternoon, an email from my mother. Subject, please read. A long email about family values, forgiveness, Christian charity. It attached a spreadsheet showing money given to my sister over 3 years. $68,000 in 3 years. And they had never offered me a cent. Restraining order hearing. Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. I had hired a lawyer. Nothing fancy, just a competent family attorney. He reviewed my evidence and called it a slam dunk, which should have been comforting but just made me nervous. I dressed professionally, took the day off, met with my lawyer at 8:30. My husband came for moral support. We sat in the waiting room and I kept checking my phone with no one to text, just nervous energy. At 8:50, my sister arrived with my parents and her own lawyer. Of course she had a lawyer. My parents must have maxed out credit cards or taken a loan, all to defend her right to harass me at 2 a.m. She looked bad. I'm not saying that to be mean, she genuinely looked bad. Dark circles. Hair in a messy ponytail, a dress that looked like it came from the back of her closet. Her lawyer, in contrast, looked extremely professional. Expensive suit, designer briefcase. Where did they get money for this? We made no eye contact. My parents shot me looks, half anger, half desperation. I ignored them. At 9 o'clock we were called into the courtroom. The judge was a woman in her 50s who looked like she'd heard too many ridiculous cases and was not in the mood for nonsense. My lawyer went first. He presented the doorbell footage, the police report, the photos of the door damage, the neighbor statements. Calm, factual, professional. The footage was particularly damning. A clear view of her face, every word she screamed, watching her kick the door repeatedly. Then it was my sister's lawyer's turn. He started with a narrative about a struggling single mother, systematically isolated from family by my pattern of abuse. He showed the video of me dragging her at the birthday party. He had printouts of my heated social media posts. He made it sound like I was waging a harassment campaign against a vulnerable woman. The judge looked bored through most of it. Then she asked, "Counsel, does your client deny showing up at the petitioner's home at 2:17 a.m.? My client admits she went to her sister's house, Your Honor, but maintains she was not intoxicated and only wanted to talk. The police report indicates she failed a breathalyzer at .13. Are you disputing the accuracy of the test?" The lawyer paused. "No, Your Honor, but so she was legally intoxicated on someone else's property at 2 a.m., causing a disturbance that resulted in property damage and required police intervention." "Correct. The context of their relationship. I'm asking yes or no questions, counsel. Was she or was she not intoxicated on the petitioner's property at 2 a.m.? "Yes, Your Honor." The judge turned to my sister. "Do you have anything to say?" My sister stood up. Her lawyer tried to stop her, but she was talking. "Your Honor, my sister has been abusing me for years. She turned my whole family against me. She attacked me at her daughter's party, and now she's using the legal system to continue the harassment. I went over that night desperate to make her understand how much she's hurting me. Yes, I had been drinking, but I have anxiety and I was self-medicating." "Ma'am," the judge interrupted. "Self-medicating with alcohol and then showing up at someone's house at 2 a.m. is not a defense. It's evidence that you need help." "Yes, I need help because my sister is destroying my life." The judge looked at her for a long moment. Then to me, "Do you have anything to add?" I stood up. My lawyer had advised me to stay quiet, but I needed to say this. "Your Honor, my sister has never faced consequences in her entire life. Every time she does something harmful, my family makes excuses. They tell her she's the victim. They enable this behavior to continue. I'm not trying to destroy her life. I'm trying to protect mine and my daughter's. We deserve to feel safe in our own home." The judge nodded slowly. "I'm ordering a psychological evaluation before a final ruling. The respondent will undergo an evaluation within 30 days designated by the court. In the meantime, I'm issuing a temporary restraining order. The respondent will stay at least 200 yards from the petitioner, her home, workplace, and her daughter's school. No contact via social media, phone, email, or third parties. Effective immediately until we reconvene after the evaluation." My sister started crying. "This isn't fair. You're not listening to me, ma'am. I watched you kick someone's door while screaming obscenities. At 2 a.m., I reviewed the police report showing you were highly intoxicated. I've seen the damage you caused. There is no other version. Those are facts. The evaluation will determine if there are underlying mental health issues that need to be addressed, but regardless, this order is necessary for everyone's safety. Court is adjourned." My mother rushed to her. My father looked at me with an expression I couldn't read. Anger, yes, but also maybe resignation. Outside, my lawyer shook my hand. "The psych eval is great for your case. If they diagnose her, and based on what I saw, they probably will, it strengthens the permanent restraining order." My husband and I walked to our car in silence. Once inside, I sat with my hands on the steering wheel. "How do you feel?" "Relieved and sad and guilty and angry all at once." "That's probably normal." "Is any of this normal?" He squeezed my shoulder. We drove home and I slept for 14 hours straight. The psychological evaluation took 3 weeks. I lived in a strange limbo waiting for the other shoe to drop while trying to exist normally. The restraining order meant no contact with my sister or my parents, which was both terrifying and liberating. My daughter noticed immediately. "Why haven't Grandma and Grandpa come to visit?" My husband and I had discussed this. We agreed to be honest in an age-appropriate way. "They need some time to work through some adult problems." "It has nothing to do with you. They still love you very much." Did they? I wasn't sure anymore. They loved the idea of her, maybe, but had they ever really shown up? They'd missed her last 2 birthday parties, one helping my sister move, another because my nephew had a cold. They never came to a single school event. They saw her maybe 6 times last year. The restraining order was eye-opening. It forced me to see how little they had actually been present. It forced me to realize that I had been doing all the emotional work to maintain relationships with people who didn't prioritize me or my daughter. 3 weeks later, a call from my lawyer. "Evaluation is complete. The judge wants to meet again in 2 days. Do you know what it said? Not details, but they're recommending ongoing intervention. That's usually not good news for the respondent." The second hearing was less dramatic. My sister appeared more put together, but defeated. Her expensive lawyer wasn't there. My parents had run out of money. She had a public defender. The judge reviewed the evaluation results. I couldn't see the report, but I watched her face as she read. Lots of nods, some frowns. Finally, she looked up. The court-appointed psychologist diagnosed the respondent with narcissistic personality disorder with dependent traits. The evaluation notes a consistent pattern of manipulation, lack of empathy, inability to accept responsibility. The psychologist recommends intensive therapy and has concerns about parenting capacity. My sister stood up. This is my sister's fault. She's the one who— Ma'am, sit down, the judge said, not unkindly. I understand this is difficult, but the evaluation is thorough and the diagnosis is based on extensive interviews and testing. This isn't about blame, it's about recognizing that you need help. I don't need help. I need my family to stop attacking me. The public defender tried to get her to sit down and be quiet. Eventually she did, glaring at me as if I had personally written the diagnosis. The judge continued. I'm making the restraining order permanent for 2 years. After 2 years, either party can petition for a modification. I strongly recommend therapy, though I can't court-order it in civil matters. However, she looked at my sister seriously, I am sending this evaluation to the family court judge overseeing your son's school case. Given the concerns about parenting capacity, they may want their own evaluation. My sister's face went white. You can't take my son, you can't do that. I'm not taking anyone. I'm making sure the appropriate people are aware of relevant information. The restraining order is now in effect for 2 years. 200-yard minimum distance, no contact. Violations will result in criminal charges. Do you understand? My sister nodded, but was looking away, dissociating maybe. I almost felt bad, almost. Outside the courthouse, I stood in the sun and just breathed. It was over, really over, legal protection. Now my family couldn't just show up anywhere. I was free. My phone vibrated. Unknown number. It's your aunt, your mom's sister. I heard about the court. I want you to know I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. Your mother is furious with me for saying this, but someone needs to tell you. You did the right thing. Your sister needed consequences for decades. I'm sorry we all failed you by not giving them to her sooner. I sat in my car and cried. Not tears of sadness, of release, years of tension finally leaving my body. That weekend, my husband came home with paint samples. I was thinking maybe it's time we painted the guest room. Turn it into something useful, a home office for you or a craft room. We keep it for when family visits. What family? He asked softly. Your parents haven't stayed over in 3 years. My parents prefer hotels. Who are we keeping it for? He was right. Keeping a guest room for family members who never visited, never stayed, never wanted to be part of our lives beyond the superficial. Yes, let's paint it. Let's make it a reading room. A big comfy chair, good lighting, shelves for books I never have time for. Perfect. We painted it a warm sage green. We built bookshelves. We bought a chair that felt like clouds. Every time I sat there with a book and tea, I felt more like myself, like the person I might have been if I'd grown up in a family that truly saw me. My daughter started therapy not because she was traumatized, but because we wanted her to have tools I never had. The therapist said she was resilient and well-adjusted. A relief. I started therapy too. Weekly sessions unpacking 33 years of dysfunction, learning I wasn't crazy or demanding or difficult. Just a person who had finally learned to have boundaries. It's been almost 4 years since that birthday party. My daughter just turned 12 and we threw her the party she really wanted. Small, intimate, just her 5 best friends at an escape room followed by pizza. No stress, no drama, no family tension, just kids being kids. She sometimes asks about my parents or my sister. I'm honest with her in age-appropriate ways. I tell her that sometimes families can't be together because it's not healthy. And that's okay. That love means protecting the people who matter most, even if it means disappointing others. My sister's life has changed. I don't follow her on social media, but through town gossip and occasional family updates, I know some things. She eventually started therapy, not because she wanted to, but because family court ordered it after investigating her parenting. My nephew stayed with her, but she has court-ordered parenting classes and regular check-ins. The last I heard, he was doing better with consistent boundaries finally in place. I hope that's true. He deserves a chance to be a normal kid. My parents tried to contact me several times that first year. Letters mostly. My moms were full of guilt about how I was tearing the family apart, how they were getting older and I'd regret this when they were gone. My dads were shorter, angrier. Neither ever really apologized or acknowledged their role in enabling my sister for decades. I kept the letters in a box in my closet, but I never responded. Then, about 18 months ago, my grandmother contacted me, called and asked if she could visit. Just her. I agreed cautiously. She sat in my reading room, the one that used to be the guest room, and looked around at the bookshelves, the comfy chair, the life I'd built without them. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," she said, "about how we raised your mother, about the patterns that get passed down. Your mother's sister. Your aunt who messaged you, she told me some things I didn't want to hear about how we treated you differently too, how that harms people." "It does," I said simply. "I can't fix the past, but I want to know my great-granddaughter, and I want you to know that I see you now. I see what we did, and I'm sorry. It wasn't everything, but it was something. She now visits every few months. She and my daughter bake together. She never mentions my sister or my parents unless I ask first. She respects my boundaries. My aunt, my mom's sister, has also stayed in touch. She told me my parents are struggling financially, having drained their retirement supporting my sister. They're trying to get her to move back in with them to save on rent. The cycle continues, just in a smaller orbit that doesn't include me. I no longer feel guilty about that. Therapy helped. Understanding that I'm not responsible for fixing problems I didn't create. That was huge. Learning that boundaries aren't a punishment, they're protection. That was everything. My marriage is stronger. My husband says I'm lighter now, less burdened by trying to earn the love of people who were never going to give it freely. My daughter is thriving, confident, kind, has healthy friendships, has never had to compete for attention or wonder if she matters. That alone makes every hard decision worth it. I still have complicated feelings about my sister. I hope she is genuinely working on herself. I hope her son is okay, but I also know her healing is not my responsibility. I spent 31 years being collateral damage in her drama. I'm done with that. I sometimes think about what I'd say to my younger self, the one who kept trying to win her parents' approval, the one who wondered if she was too sensitive or too demanding. I'd tell her she wasn't the problem, that choosing herself wasn't selfish, that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away from people who refuse to see you. The restraining order expired last year, but I renewed it for another 2 years. I'm not sure what I'll do when it's up. Part of me thinks my sister won't contact me anyway. Narcissists hate being held accountable, and I became that accountability. Part of me is braced for another round of drama, and that's okay, but here's what I know for sure. I have a daughter who knows she is loved unconditionally. I have a husband who has my back completely. I have a home that feels peaceful. I have boundaries that protect my family. I have a life that is mine, not one dictated by dysfunctional family patterns. That 3-tier pineapple cake was expensive, but learning to value myself, that was priceless. And I would honestly destroy that cake myself 100 times over if it meant getting here, to this place, where I am finally free.